Hey, y'all, this is your coach, Tonetta. I hope y'all doing well. This video is all about the misunderstandings and how to, of course, prevent them from happening as much as you can. I know this week I posted a lot about misunderstandings and how it can, of course, affect your relationship and, of course, kill the relationship at some point, of course, because sometimes misunderstandings get to be so big and so much in the relationship that there is no going back to the happiness that you once had. I've seen that happen. Like I said, unfortunately, it does happen, but of course, I'm here to try to prevent that from happening as much as possible, as much as I can. I know I'm not foolproof. I know I don't have all the answers for everything, but like I said, definitely I know something that can, of course, help you. I guess I put it that way. But let me get more into misunderstandings. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sitting in my car, y'all. Sorry about that. But like I said, misunderstandings, a lot of time the misunderstanding comes from miscommunication. Either we thought that we heard something that the person may have, our partner may have said that may have come off the wrong way, or that may have been the wrong information, or that may have been just a different way that we took it. I guess I put it that way. Sometimes we can, of course, have conversations and that kind of thing, and people are so heated going back and forth and saying stuff they don't mean. Of course, there's sometimes fighting unfairly, hitting below the belt, that kind of thing. And all those types of things can cause misunderstandings, and nobody wants that. I've lived through that, so I understand how that can feel. But like I said, at some point, I had to realize that in order for me to, of course, to curtail and to lessen a lot of those misunderstandings, I had to make sure that I was asking the right questions and getting the right information to begin with, as long as my partner was willing to give me the answer that I needed. I guess I put it that way. Or the answer that, of course, fit the question. I guess I put it that way as well. But like I said, definitely, you definitely do have to know who you're dealing with. I know I say that a lot, and I do definitely mean that. I know I said a lot, but like I said, definitely knowing the person that you're dealing with, whether the partner that you have is a person that you can, of course, trust, whether the partner that you have is a person that you can, of course, that knows, that has integrity, that's usually honest, that, of course, wants to, of course, be in this relationship with you. I guess I put it that way. And even if you're dating and you're trying to get to that committed point, misunderstandings can still happen as well. And like I said, definitely asking the questions that you need to ask in order to find out who you're dealing with is key. Like I said, I know a lot of times we, of course, because I was in my last relationship, actually, I let my partner know that I didn't want any kids. Because I had already taken care of a lot of folks' kids, including family, friends, the neighborhood. I was burnt out on kids. I put it that way back when I was in my early teens, actually. And I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. I see how it goes. I know how the parenting goes. I don't want that in my life. And like, I let him know that. And of course, 7.5 years into it, that's part of our argument. I guess I put it that way. And I'm like, okay, I told you this before we started dating. What was the point of you going this many years thinking I was going to change my mind? Like I told him, that's my belief. That's my value at this point. I just don't want it now. If you already had your kids, then yeah, that's fine. I don't mind taking care of them. That's fine. But I'm like, okay, I've already told you this. So what in the world is going on? And like I told him, this whole misunderstanding, this whole entire relationship, if that was the case, that was only one of the things that he was, I guess, upset or had an attitude about. I guess it was a whole lot of other things too, but that was just one of the things. And like I told him at the time, we were actually separating and that kind of thing. Like I told him, if I tell you something, I'm a very honest, upfront person. I will tell you exactly what I want to tell you, what I mean, what I'm trying to say. If I can't get the right words, then it'll still come out in some kind of way that you will be able to understand something I'm trying to tell you. And like I told him, if I'm directly telling you that I don't want any kids and this is not my future, to have birth any kids, I guess I put it that way, why in the world would you expect that I'm going to go ahead and change my mind in 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years? That's not going to happen. I already have my mind set up. Some women want kids, some I just don't. Like I told him, you could have saved yourself a whole lot of time if you would have been honest with when I asked you this question back when we were dating. And like I said, this gets a lot of folks in trouble. I guess I put it that way. Years later, we're married. But just for example, just like in my relationship, I've heard of other relationships. This was going the same, similar kind of way. Whether it was with kids, the male didn't want kids, or she didn't want kids, or he didn't want to start the business, and all she was focused on was trying to start a business. But we didn't ask these questions in the beginning to gauge whether this is the right partner for us. Like I said, that will definitely prevent a lot of those misunderstandings. And like I said, I know a lot of times we get into relationships not thinking about certain things. I guess I put it that way. But like I said, sometimes these things will come up, actually a lot of times, these things will come up in arguments. These things will come up when you all are upset and that kind of thing, feeling resentful, feeling bitter, feeling angry. And then it's a whole blown out argument when you all could have settled this in the beginning. I guess I put it that way. And like I said, that's why I want to talk to y'all this morning about misunderstandings, because I know I've been talking a lot about it this week. And I know a lot of things, like I said, can't be curtailed when it comes to misunderstandings if we're asking the right kind of questions, y'all. I know some of you are already in relationships and that kind of thing, but some of you, of course, are trying to date and getting it back into the dating game and trying to figure out how to pick the best partner that you can for yourself in your current season. And like I said in the beginning, I created something called Unpacking the Baggage that will definitely help you, of course, with asking those right questions and, of course, having those deep, meaningful conversations with your partner. I do want to say one thing. Well, actually, you can pick up Unpacking the Baggage by clicking the link in the description of this video. But I do want to say one thing, that if you're getting into a relationship with someone and you notice that they're not wanting to, of course, answer these questions, now I'll get more into Unpacking the Baggage shortly, but answer these questions and that kind of thing, they're hesitant. You may need to seek another partner. I guess I put it that way. That may be a red flag for you. I don't know. It just depends on the person and how well you know them and what's going on and what y'all trying to do. I guess I put it that way as well. But Unpacking the Baggage questions, like I said, they're more deep-seated questions about well, there's actually 30 questions. One of those questions is about kids, how you're raising kids, all that kind of stuff. Some of those questions are about, like I said, your actual life itself, the trauma, the dramas that you've been through, and how it's affecting possibly your relationship today. And then, of course, some of those questions are about sex and pleasure, foreplay, orgasms, all that type of stuff, all the type of fun bedroom stuff as well. But they're questions to, of course, that you can ask yourself, write them down, answer the question yourself, and then, of course, go ahead and talk to your partner about them as well, and get him or her to, of course, answer those questions as well, so that you all can, of course, see if you're all on the same page and see how well you gel, how well you connect, and that kind of thing. And like I said, in my mind, because these are the questions that I had to write down in order for me to know who I'm getting into the relationship with, whether this person's kind of on the same page as I am, or whether we can work towards some of these things. Like I said, it's a lot of things that we don't ask that we need to know when we're going into relationships, and use sometimes when we're already into those relationships. I guess I put it that way as well. Like I said, I'm not telling nobody if you're already married, that kind of thing, and this person's not answering none of these questions the way you want them. I'm not telling you to leave their relationship or their marriage at all, but just make sure that these are points of communication for y'all when y'all have your date nights or when you're having that pillow talk. Make sure that you're having these conversations so that you all can figure out your beliefs and values surrounding these certain topics. Like I said, at some point, we all have to start unpacking our baggage in order to, of course, create the relationship that we want. If not, how else can you recreate the relationship, y'all? If you're not being honest with yourself, my business here is called Speak Your Truth. I'm big about speaking your truth, being who you are, whether it's in your life and or your relationship. And I know I've said that many a times. I'm going to keep saying it too. I'm very big on stuff like that. If you're not being who you are and able to be who you are within your life and your relationship, that means that you need to make some changes. I will say that. And like I said, at some point, we have to realize that if you want the relationship that you want, you have to, of course, unpack your own baggage first, and then unpack that of your partners, you all together, I guess, next, is how that always goes. Otherwise, how in the world would you all be able to be in this relationship together? You're just full of lies, full of people wearing masks. And I see a lot of relationships like that will never work out because all they do is constantly argue. I've been in relationships like that. People wearing masks. People are not dumb. They can tell that you're wearing a mask and that you're lying and hiding behind something that you refuse to talk about. And it creates a rift in the relationship. It creates lower trust. The connection won't be there as much as you want it to be. The communication either. So like I said, y'all go ahead and pick up the Unpacking the Baggage today. Make sure that you click the link in the description of the video. It should be the first little button at the top called Unpacking the Baggage. Go ahead and pick that up and go ahead and start getting those questions answered. It comes along with some videos that I did so that you can, of course, know when you're asking those questions, when you're answering those questions, and how far in depth you should go with those questions. I guess I put it that way as well, to help you all create a healthier, more communicated relationship, and a more conversational relationship, and a more connected relationship in and outside the bedroom. So with that, I'm going to say thank y'all for tuning in. This is your coach, Relationship and Life, Tonetta Clay. Again, I'll see y'all in the next morning Car Chronicle video. Take care, y'all.